Aviation here. I hope you're all having a good day so far. So, um, this is actually going to be a very different video than what I usually do. I've been thinking that I don't really interact with the audience that much. I mean, I do a few community posts on YouTube. I do talk to the mic when I play fighting games, but it's half the time, in fact, more than half the time, I focus on the game and I mute the mic. And not to mention the fact that when I play single player games, I purposely mute the mic to have the game speak for itself. So I'm thinking I don't really talk to the audience that much. So I think this would be a good way to be able to talk a little bit more. I could explain my perspective of, video games. And after all, this is a video game channel. So, and I'm going to be honest, I'm streaming this live on Twitch right now. This was not exactly planned. I didn't really come up with any brainstorming activities. And this is just going to be me talking to the mic, explaining, my perspective on things. So, some people have actually been asking me, why Papercut? Why did you get into competitive fighting games? So, I actually have an interesting story regarding that. So, I've, you know, I was born in the 90s, in the 1990s. So, and I've been playing like video games since I was literally 3 years old. In fact, Frogger, I did stream that a while back, and it's also on my YouTube channel for the YouTube watchers. Uh, I I was playing that game literally since I was 3 years old. In fact, I was even playing in arcades when I was like 2.5 years old. So I've been playing video games literally my entire life. And what's interesting is that most of the games I was playing, they were they were single player games. In fact, all of it. I didn't really play any multiplayer games. I didn't really play any competitive games. It was all single player games. And in fact, even when I was going to arcades, I never really went to the arcades for the tickets and the prizes. If I'm being honest, I never really cared about that. I always wanted to play the story-driven arcade games, the arcade games that had like good quality, such as like Time Crisis or Jurassic Park. They actually made an arcade game that's not really around anymore, but that's another example. There's also some kind of firefighting game where you put out fires and all that. It was those story-driven and good atmosphere games and good quality games I always really wanted to to play. And I never really cared about any of the carnival games that, gave you tickets or prizes. In fact, even if I did, I played a little bit of skee ball just for fun, but I never really collected the tickets. So the point is that I was mainly focused on story-driven uh, games, and when I got my first, console at home, PlayStation, it was the same thing. I mainly played. In fact, I only played, single player games. And I did play like fighting games. I eventually did, when I did play Tekken at home when I was like 6 years old. But again, that was just for fun. I just played it casually. I just want to enjoy the story mode, enjoy the gameplay. I never was into competitively. So fast forward to the PlayStation 2 era, same thing. Fast forward to the PlayStation 3 era, same thing. Mostly single player games. Now, if you fast forward though to the PlayStation 4 era, that's when things started to change. So now I'm going to explain why I changed from playing mostly, if not all, single player games to multiplayer games. So and this is actually one of the cons. This is going to bring me to one of the cons of modern gaming. So when during I would say the maybe 2013 or 2014, this is when video games really started to take a change. Many video game franchises that were known to be like single player games and story-driven games were slowly starting to turn to live service. And in fact, I have a perfect example of this. In the PlayStation 4 era, games like Grand Theft Auto and Fallout, they slowly got replaced by good single-player games to live service. For example, Grand Theft Auto Online got replaced by shark cards. And that's basically microtransactions. You pay real money to get in-game money because most people were not willing to grind to get the money and then get what they want in the game. So they just spent real money. And the companies are like, oh, wow, this is a great way to make money. So you know what happens? Single player DLC becomes a minimum, if at all. It's so long. It's been what? Grand Theft Auto 5 was released in 2013. We have to wait literally, and I mean literally 12 years for another Grand Theft Auto game. I'm like, what? And for people who say, oh no, it's just games are more expensive nowadays. That's true to a degree, but you have to remember that there are many good single player games out there. They're still being released, just a few years apart. Like that excuse will only will only be justified for so long, you know. And 12 years, and not to mention Fallout. Look, we have Fallout 3 that was released in 2008, then we get Fallout New Vegas 2010. Great, right? This is the PS3 era. But then we get Fallout 4, PlayStation 4 era 2015. Okay, we can do that, especially since we got Elder Scrolls made by the same company in between. We can tolerate that. But then we get Fallout 76, which is a live service multiplayer game. And then how long do we have to wait for another Fallout game? And we haven't even gotten an announcement yet. I mean, it's literally been 9 years since Fallout 4, since Fallout 4 got launched. Yeah, it's gonna be up to 9 years, and we still don't even know if and when another Fallout single player game is gonna be coming out. I mean, this is insane. To be fair, we did get Starfield, but still, even that was another 8 years. You see what I'm trying to say? Is that live service games have really been slowly taking over the gaming industry, and that's just one thing I don't like. And another thing though is that games, like a lot of people are making jokes and memes about games, which I'm not really against, but I don't think it should overshadow how great games really are. And and that's another thing I don't like. You know, this was happening in the mid 2010s. Like I would say 2014, like I really was real in 2014 I think was the last year I was fully focused on single player games. And then 2015 I started experimenting a little bit because I was thinking, well, single player games are starting to fall down. And you know what's the worst thing though is that not only with microtransactions, with games like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, you see, games are more expensive to make. They take longer to develop in new generations. So you know what they did? To still make money, they would still want to release games yearly. But you know what happens though? They don't have enough time to make good quality games, so they just mass release because they know people will buy. Like look at Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2, the original, right? Wait, once every 2 years that worked. But then they try to release a yearly, they try to release a Call of Duty game yearly because they know people will just buy into the multiplayer, will buy it for the multiplayer, and the campaign mode doesn't really have to be that good. It's like they're doing too much. It's like they it's almost impossible to make a good quality game within a year with the current technology because games are like, and I said it was true. Games are more expensive. They are more expensive to make, and they take more time. You know, it's and but because of the profits they make, people keep buying them, so the games aren't really that good anymore. And this was starting to become an issue in 2015. So I was thinking, well, how can I still enjoy games? Multiplayer. That's exactly where I got into multiplayer. So I started, playing Call of Duty a little bit. I was thinking, is this going to work? And then I tested Grand Theft Auto Online. I was like, is this going to work? And I did like Grand Theft Auto Online for a while, and I also play a little bit of Metal Gear Online, just a little bit of it. And and I still was into single player games. So I played Batman Arkham Knight during that year, which was a disappointing game, but in my opinion, but still pretty good. I also, let's see, I also can't remember the other game I played at the moment. Not going to take time to think. I don't want to drag on too long, but um, I would say I guess Metal Gear Solid 5 maybe was considered a single player. I don't know. I didn't even play it that much either. So, point is though that point is that that was the last game. So in 2016, I got addicted to Grand Theft Auto Online. That was like the first year I really was like into multiplayer games. I was like, wow, I can still enjoy games now because back then, in my opinion, Grand Theft Auto Online was actually a good quality multiplayer. That discussion of how I fell down is can be for another video. But then I noticed that Tekken 7 was coming out, and I was always into Tekken, just for fun, same with Mortal Kombat. So I was thinking, Mortal Kombat will likely be coming out in 2019 if the NetherRealm, back then they had a little cycle. They had a cycle of releasing a game once every 4 years. They would release Mortal Kombat, then Injustice, then Mortal Kombat again. So my prediction was it was going to be released in 2019. Tekken 7 was going to be released in 2017. So I was thinking, if I enjoy multiplayer, why don't I test it with a fighting game? So ever since that, I actually started to practice Tekken 7 rank matches, and I was like, wow, this is actually really fun. I actually like this. So I started labbing, setting the frame data, and years later, I really got addicted to it. And I still play Tekken. I still play Tekken to this day. I still, you see me stream it. I play it off stream. I go to tournaments, and it really did help me get into like enjoy games and help me get my mind off the fact that good quality single player games were taking a fall. And to this day, to be fair, like nowadays, we have more good quality single player games compared to like a decade ago, or I'd say 9 years ago. But, I've already taken the path. I've already realized how great fighting games like really are competitively. And it's like once I got into it, I never really went back to good quality single player games. And I still play good quality single player games, but they're few and far between. I mean, I think the only one I've really gotten addicted to, or only two, was Red Dead Redemption 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. Those were the only big quality single player games. Again, I'm pretty much into competitive fighting games now, and this is pretty much how it happened. But I still find it a shame though that even nowadays that good quality single player games are few and far between. I mean, look how long we're going to have to wait for another Ghost of Tsushima, as good as that was. And I just think it's a real shame. Now, I know I've been talking negative a lot, but I'll say some positive things. Some of the positive things I really like about the uh video games is that they are they are um, more positively supported. Because back in the day, when I was a kid, I was living in the era where games were just absolutely were considered an absolute sin to do. Like some of my teachers were criticizing it. Some other adults I knew were saying all video games destroy brain cells and all that. Even some of my own classmates were really hating on video games. And I think the reason why that stereotype came up is because many people, especially in the early 2000s, many people would drink like Mountain Dew like it was water at nighttime, and then they would play, Halo, and then eat Dorito chips, and then they wouldn't really get much sleep. And as a result, they get black eye circles, they become pale and all that. So many people, I think, didn't realize that that was the like it wasn't the video games that did that. It was drinking Mountain Dew and staying up all night playing video games, which, not exactly the healthiest option, but that's for another discussion topic. But that's the, but nowadays the video games are a lot more supported. I mean, even schools are even having video game tournaments, which is good. And it's also a really good way to make it's also a really good way to make new friends too. If you go to, fighting game communities now, most of the people, I went to Evo, most of the people are very nice people. It's a really great way to, it's a really great way to, to make new friends and socialize and all that. It helps you get a good social life if you think about it. And that is one of the really good things about video games. I really, it's hard to predict what the future of video games is going to be, but it looks like the fighting game community though, like it's just going to get bigger and all that. It's gonna get better. Another thing though, I think one of the reasons why video games were ridiculed was back in the day. I'm not going to like talk too much, but I did hear stories about like bad sportsmanship in the old days, which is like long over. But that's another reason why I think a lot of people look down on fighting games. But I think that's pretty much it, though. I just want to explain how I got to, competitive fighting games. And hope you enjoyed this video. I know this was a YouTube watch. I know it's supposed to be an action game on Sunday, and I think it's a good change of pace, though. So let me know what you think of these discussion videos. See if I should upgrade it, stop doing it. Let me know in the comments.